I'm here at the Jackson Street Cemetery exploring the memorials of some of Athens' earliest deceased citizens. I'm getting shivers up my spine as I investigate this intriguing cemetery, not just because graveyards are creepy by nature, but because it makes me think of my own mortality. Though it isn't the most pleasant place to be right now, this cemetery holds a lot of interesting, controversial history. It was the original burial ground for Athens, which is very fascinating to me because I'm surrounded by the oldest dead people's souls that ever came to walk around the streets of Athens. All people in Athens were allowed to bury people here free of charge. It's crazy because now the average cost just for a grave space is $1,000. In fact, perhaps because it was free to bury the dead here, that's why it became so overcrowded and led to the opening of Oconee Hill Cemetery. I find it a little creepy that literally anyone could be buried here, whether they made positive or negative influences in the community. As you can see, some markers are uninscribed local fieldstones, and others are imported marble. Some gravestones are also shiny and more newer looking. Maybe this meant that these people were wealthy. Maybe the marble represents those who made a great impact on the Athens community or who were remembered in a positive way. The hill where the cemetery lies is also slanted. I wonder if there was a specific purpose on the placement of the graves. Perhaps the rich were meant for the higher ground and the poor for the lower. There were some groups of two tombstones together scattered throughout the cemetery. Upon closer investigation, I noticed they were one family. They were family because each stone had the same last name. Some were buried in different places than others. I wonder who gets to decide where they get buried since they're already dead. There are some cursive inscriptions on some of the long, taller tombstones. One of the quotes I made out said, "Lover of virtue." This person must have been a good, honest, and moral man. It makes me sad for their death, but happy seeing a comment like this because it makes me think about all the good people in this world who made a difference and who will never be forgotten. I hope I am never forgotten. Though death does frighten me, I saw a quote on a tombstone that really gave me a sense of security. It said, "She is not dead, but sleepeth." If I think of death as just being asleep in a better place with no pain, then it makes me feel more somewhat at peace with the idea of dying and helps me gain acceptance. Who would have ever thought doing research on a graveyard would give me a sense of peace? Some of the tombstones have several cracks down the middle of them. Did they deserve this? Well, it's probably just weathering. Perhaps it's karma for something they did. I wonder how this happened. This stone is very hard to break. I feel like it takes more power than just a storm to destroy this stone. Maybe it resembles an enemy of the deceased. Someone broke it on purpose as revenge for something. Some stones have no inscriptions. Maybe their relatives didn't have anything to say about them at all. Or maybe it's not a good sign if there's nothing on the gravestones. Better to say nothing on a stone than something negative. While everyone deserves a proper burial, it does make you question what the gravestones of criminals might say. I'm thinking nothing. It's possible that it costs more to include inscriptions, so the poorer the deceased and his or her family, the plainer the gravestone. What if those people weren't good people? One person had a very tall statue looking grave that was very clean and shiny. When I saw it, it made me think of that person as high up or powerful. I could literally see that grave from outside of the cemetery. The graves are scattered unevenly, unlike most graveyards, where most graves are evenly scattered, distributed in rows and columns. Some are grouped up and some are standing there by themselves. I wonder if the ones standing by themselves imply that the deceased is them being a loner in life, or perhaps no one really thought of them as anything. For those who didn't have a family, who took the responsibility of burying or memorializing them? How sad that would be for someone with no family. Each and every one of these people had their own story and passion. I wonder what I will be remembered as for, or if I will even be remembered at all beyond just my friends and family. As morbid as it may be, I've now begun to think what I would want my own gravestone to reflect. I'd like for it to talk about what kind of person I've grown to be, my values and accomplishments. I want it to say how people remember me as a fun and loving person and how I was always seeking an adventure in life. After reflecting on some of these graves, it made me gain a sense of placement, belonging in life. That there will always be space for me whether I'm dead or alive, visible or not. In this graveyard, all of the deceased had their own space. Since the recent discovery of the graves of African American slaves' graves under Baldwin Hall, it has created great concern for why they seem to have been forgotten. I think they were forgotten because, as displayed in the book Blood at the Root, No white citizen accepted them in the community. The white powerful society treated the African Americans poorly and never gave them a chance, which led to them being heartless. So when the blacks died, no one cared. There was no respect for them. Surely if I was a descendant of one of these lost slaves, I would feel disrespected since my ancestors had not only been neglected in life but also in death. I wonder if the deceased felt the same way.